Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be reviewing another foundation, and it is the Natural Radiant Longwear foundation. I bought this, I think it was actually before it went on sale kind of everywhere. I think it was exclusive to Selfridges at the time that I bought it, so that was last week, and I'm not sure why, I'm not sure if anyone else had it, if House of Fraser had it, but I couldn't see it anywhere except Selfridges. And I think it came out like nationally here in the UK on just this Monday, so Monday the 15th of January, and I had actually been like, I had my eye on this for a few weeks now, ever since I think I saw Alessandra, basically Alex on Instagram. I've mentioned her before. She is, I think she's the beauty director for Glamour, and yeah, so she has kind of dry skin from what I remember, dry, dehydrated skin, so she was absolutely loving this foundation. Obviously, being a journalist, you get to try things a lot sooner than people like us do, so I was waiting for this foundation to come out, and I knew, like, regardless of the price tag, I was going to pay for it. I also wanted to do a this isn't so much a first impressions, because I'm not going to be trying it on camera like right now, but I have tried it on for 2 days and I have got footage from that. So I filmed myself using this foundation across 2 days and in 2 different ways, and basically showing, like, checking in with you guys and showing you in the morning, and then 10-11 hours later. I didn't feel the need to wear this foundation for 12 hours, let alone 16 hours. I think the some of the claims, which I will go through in a bit, some of the claims for this foundation, for example, is that 16-hour wear, and I didn't really need my foundation to last 16 hours. So for me, if it's lasting like double digits, if it's crossing over from 9, 10, 11 hours, then I'm sure it's going to last a little bit longer. So yes, this foundation came out this Monday, and it is, I believe, the 4th or 5th, I might be wrong, but Nars do other foundations that I didn't know they did. Like, there's a compact foundation or a cream foundation. I know they do tinted moisturizer, and they kind of, I feel like, known for their complexion stuff. Like, they're known for their blushes and their bronzers and their foundations more than their eyeshadows. And I have 2 of their other foundations just behind me. So I've got Nars Sheer Glow. This is in the shade Barcelona. They are all, like, all the shades that I have are Barcelona, and then I have this one, which is, like, this packaging was just such a mess for me, and this is also in Barcelona. So yeah, and this is the All Day Luminous, so yeah, All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation and Sheer Glow Foundation, and now we have Natural Radiant Longwear foundation. The one thing I will say is, across the board, I feel like Nars's whole ethos when it comes to foundation is, regardless of what coverage and what skin type they are aiming towards, their foundations always kind of aim, I feel like, to look as good as skin can look and kind of mimic really, really good skin. They don't, in my opinion, even this foundation, they don't seem to do a very kind of matte, full-on matte foundation, which works for someone like me because I'm not a fan of full coverage matte foundations. But yeah, that's something to kind of bear in mind. There are 33 shades of this foundation, which I think is their largest shade range. They've introduced a few shade ranges that I've never heard of, because there was a few shades either side of Barcelona that I'd never really heard of before, never seen before. So I think they've obviously introduced new foundation shades. They've also introduced, I know, like, additional shades to their Radiant Creamy Concealer, which I like. I don't love. I feel like I was, like, the only person who didn't really, like, die for that concealer. So yeah, I've made some notes. I have some notes. I did my homework. So I've got some notes on what the foundation claims, which I took from the main Nars website. So like I said, The finish of this is meant to be lightweight and radiant, as the name suggests. It's meant to have a fade resistant formula, and it's meant to be transfer resistant, sweat resistant, and it's basically not meant to budge, not meant to move. Whether you rub against it, someone rubs against you, whether you're sweating, whether it's just wearing it for 5, 10, 12 hours, it's meant to stay looking just flawless and fresh. When I first heard the claim that it was going to be transfer resistant, straight off the bat, I know I was a bit wary, not because I'm kind of like rolling my eyes thinking, really, transfer resistant, mostly because I know if a foundation is going to have that kind of staying power and it's going to be transfer resistant, so if I was to hug someone, you know, it wasn't going to come off on their shoulder. If it's going to be that kind of locked, I guess, onto my skin, onto my face, then I'm always wary because I have very dry, dehydrated skin. It can also be a bit sensitive. I feel like the older I'm getting, the more sensitive it's getting. So it can feel quite tight as it is. And I was just a bit wary that this foundation may make that worse for me, and it may just be uncomfortable to wear. And I will go into that in a little while. It also has fruit extracts, raspberry, apple and watermelon. According to Nars, is meant to basically immediately help the look of your skin and also have a longer lasting effect on your skin condition. I am not sure, I'm still very much in the early days of learning about skincare and ingredients. I'm not sure what raspberry, apple and watermelon do, or the extracts at least, or fruit extracts do for the skin, but if you do know, please just share with everyone down below because we could all learn something. So I'm not sure about that. It's going to take me a lot longer to figure out if those extracts improve my skin, but also because I have such a varied and different, I have a kind of like a solid and varied skin routine. I feel like I would never be able to say if one product or one foundation was improving the look of my skin, if that makes sense. It's just very hard to say unless this is the only foundation that I use and the only product I use. It's very hard to say. I also read a claim that it's meant to look better with each hour, and I guess that's with your natural oils, your natural skin oils, meshing together with the foundation. It's meant to look, I guess, better than it does when you first apply it. On their website, this foundation is aimed at normal to normal oily combination skin. I didn't read dry skin on their website, which is funny because everywhere else that I've read about this foundation, so not like kind of officially on their website, but everywhere else that I seem to read about this foundation, people are suggesting that it is basically a medium to full coverage foundation for dry skin. And I think before I'd even purchased it, that's what I had in my mind. I felt like that's what this was. It was a radiant foundation and long lasting. And I think that's another thing that kind of drew me to purchasing this foundation without doing too much homework. It retails for £35, and Sheer Glow and the All Day Luminous, I think they both sit at £33. So I am wearing it today. I have had it on all day. I've not touched up, apart from my lips, I've not touched up anything. I've not even added blusher. This is exactly how I left in the morning, and this is how I'm coming back. Again, I've changed my lips. So this is 9 hours later, and I wanted to film. I'm also filming on my Canon 70D, because I realised that the 2 days that I was kind of vlogging me applying the foundation and how it looked, I was using my Sony, and if you have face detection on the Sony camera, it automatically has like a smoothing, blurring filter. So apologies, because I want to give you guys a true representation of what this foundation is going to look like and what it actually looks like on skin, because I feel like so many people get tricked into, maybe not intentionally, but so many people get kind of tricked into buying a product or buying a foundation, and they wonder like, why doesn't it look as good as it looks on XYZ YouTuber that showed me? And a lot of the time it is because of the filters. It's also because of the lighting as well. So I've tried to put up pictures on my Instagram, I've tried to put up little videos on my Insta stories using my iPhone, I've used my Sony camera to vlog, and now I'm using my Canon. It's very like HD, it's very like, it picks up on everything. Like from here I know you guys can see all of my facial hair, and I'm going to get closer so you can see more. I tried this across 2 days. On the first day I applied it just as the website suggests. The website suggests, or Nars suggests, and the makeup artist video that I saw, they suggest using fingers, and I know not everyone is a fan of using fingers. You guys know I absolutely love using my fingers for foundation application because it just goes on more natural and it's just easier, I feel. I'm not a big fan of using makeup brushes for foundation. You will see now hopefully some footage of me using this foundation for the first time. The foundation comes with a pump, which I feel like for anything above £10 all foundations should come with a pump. But yeah, it comes with a pump. It says shake well to use before use. Again, like I said, it's in the shade Barcelona. So I'm using my fingers to apply the foundation, and I had prepped my skin beforehand, so I did quite a simple prep when it comes down to skincare. I didn't go too heavy. I just kind of did my normal day to day. I didn't do anything extra, so I wanted to give it like a fair chance. The consistency of this foundation, I would say, is a little bit more watery than the Sheer Glow, but I would say like it's very similar to the All Day Luminous. And both foundations are very deceiving. They're very watery, but the coverage on them, the minute I applied this foundation, I just knew like this is not, for me, this is not medium coverage foundation. For me, this is a full coverage foundation, but the finish of it is just not matte. It's kind of, I would say, it's almost like a semi-matte or satin finish. It's not a, in my opinion, from using it the last 2 days, it's not dewy, it's not very radiant. It is skin-like, and most skin has that kind of satin finish to it. Like skin in general is not very dewy unless you have kind of particular oily skin, or you've got really super healthy skin and you drink your 8 glasses of water, and yeah, skin normally has just that little kind of like satin finish to it. Okay, so this is day 1. I've finished the rest of my makeup, and they'll probably be on Instagram if you guys want to see it. I'm being shushed by my barely 2-year-old son. So yeah, this is what it looks like. Good evening, guys. So I thought I would check in with you all. It is now 8 o'clock. This on just under 12 hours. I would say 11 hours or 10 and a half hours, but I think I'm gonna call it a day here because nothing dramatic is gonna happen in the next hour. I'm gonna ignore this under eye area because this is where I put the Shape Tape concealer, but along the cheeks and everywhere else, I feel like, I'll tell you what, there's a way to tell if it's, I mean, I can tell that it's obviously still there, but it has obviously faded. So my thing is to do like basically clean finger and ignore the bronzing, contouring, blusher side. If I just take, for example, my forehead, and if I just basically, oh, I'm just gonna wipe that on a piece of paper. I don't know, you can't see, so that tells me there's pretty much no foundation left on my forehead. If I do the chin, there's a little bit left on my chin. So and I have dry skin. On the first day, as you guys will see, that I did find, not straight away, but I did find that the foundation sat in like very obvious places. It sat in the fine lines, like creases in my mouth. It sat kind of awkwardly under my eye, and it definitely accentuated the pores around my nose area. I have to say that it did feel on the first day at least, it did feel a little tight, almost like I've got like a mask on that's drying. It did feel a little tight and a little uncomfortable, but I have to say, like in all fairness to Nars, I do have very dry skin. I have dehydrated skin as well. Two very kind of different things, but unfortunately I have both dry and dehydrated skin. So I just want to put that out there because I think for anyone who's got normal combination, like they've kind of obviously advertised normal skin and heading towards kind of oilier skin, or at least combination, I feel like this foundation would obviously sit very different on your skin, and it would look different as well, in my opinion. My skin being dry, dehydrated, and kind of looks dull unless I, you know, inject it with a lot of moisture and a lot of products. It does look very dull. I'm getting a little getting hot in here. Day 2, as you guys will see, I actually decided that I would amp up the skincare prep, so I did apply a heavier serum and a heavier moisturizer. I think that's definitely helped the foundation sit a lot better on me today. You can see where I've not taken the foundation into kind of further into my scalp, like into my hairline, even my scalp into my hairline, so I can see how full coverage this foundation is. And yeah, if that's what you want, then I think you'll like this foundation. But I will do a proper review, at least on the last 2 days, how I found this foundation. And yeah, I'm gonna go now because I gotta get to work, and we've got to test this foundation out at least for the next 8, 9, 10 hours, and then I will obviously check in with you guys when I get home. Bye. Okay, so that was this morning. This is now, and I have to say that when I catch myself looking in mirrors, like even if I look in the mirror below, I have to say that the foundation, I feel like it's a flawless foundation. Most foundations, or at least most full coverage foundations for me, they're not very forgiving. They are going to sit in creases and fine lines unless I use like a pore filling primer, but I'm just not about that life. I just don't do that. I don't think to do that, and I just could do with that without that extra layer. I already do so much when it comes to skincare. I kind of just, maybe I let myself down when it comes down to primers. I could possibly look into that, and this is obviously a first review over 48 hours, and I will keep testing and trying new ways to wear this foundation. It is a good foundation. Day 2, I did use a beauty blender, and you can see, I'm going to get up close so you guys can see. So forehead wise, I don't put a lot there. Oh, stay in focus. Yeah, on my forehead I don't really put a lot of foundation there, so you can't really tell. Under the eyes, I'm going to ask you to ignore that because I do use I did use a different concealer today. On the first day I used Shape Tape, and on the second day I used Smashbox concealer. So the under eye area had concealer and was set with a powder, so I think it's a bit unfair to like compare those, so we're going to ignore the under eye. I have to say though, on the cheek area and even around my mouth and nose, it has stayed a lot better today. I didn't set it, obviously I did my usual blusher and contour. I stayed away from highlighter so I could see like the natural radiance of this foundation, and it does have, you can see, like it does have kind of like a satin finish. I wouldn't call it a dewy foundation by any means, but it does have like a slight sheen, a slight satin skin, kind of skin-like finish to it. But yeah, you can see where it's kind of sitting in my fine lines here and in the pores here, even along my nose. This is a very troublesome area for me because I have very dry skin around my nose. But yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly just compare for you guys the 3 foundations. So this is the new one. So this is the Nars Radiant. That is there. I'm just going to do 1 stroke. And then we have Sheer Glow. And you can, Sheer Glow just is like the perfect match for me. Along with Armani Silk, Sheer Glow matches me perfectly. So you can see this foundation is, because there's more pigment, I feel like because it's better coverage, it's gonna set and look different, wet and dry. And then finally we have the All Day Luminous. And that just looks even more kind of orange and warm in comparison. But yeah, that's the 3 foundations. So we've got Sheer Glow, Natural Radiance and All Day Luminous. You can see the coverage right down the middle, and even here you can see the coverage is insane with this new Nars foundation, and I could tell that straight away when I applied it on the first day. I knew it was not, like, for me it's not a medium coverage foundation. If you are used to full coverage foundations, you're used to stuff like MAC Studio Fix or Estee Lauder Double Wear, then you may think that this is more kind of medium to full, but for me it is full. The pumps are kind of like half pumps, but I find 2 half pumps or like 1 proper pump is enough for me to do my whole face. But yeah, you guys be the judge. Let me know what you think of this foundation. In my opinion, I don't feel like it's a huge, for me personally, I don't feel like this foundation is a huge like must-have foundation of 2018, even though we're only like 15 days in. I also don't think it's a foundation that I can say too many bad things about, to be honest. I think the shade ranges and colour ranges are amazing. I think the coverage is amazing. It looks good from what I can see on camera. It also photographs quite well. Flash photography, it looks really, really brilliant with. One of my critiques of this foundation though is that I find that it's just a little bit, I don't know if aging is the right word, but it makes my skin look a little bit more mature, and I feel it, and it's probably to do with the fact that it is full coverage more so than the actual foundation. I'm sure if I sat here and tried to slap on Studio Fix or Estee Lauder Double Wear after, like, you know, the last few years of wearing really radiant dewy foundations, I would probably feel the same way. In my head, it was going to be basically a really dewy, radiant version of this, but then again, I thought Sheer Glow was going to be a very glowy foundation, and if you have Sheer Glow or you use it, you know that it's not hugely glowy. It's exactly as the name suggests, which is a sheer glow. So it's very subtle, and I feel like this natural radiant foundation is just that. It's just a natural skin-like sheen. In terms of the actual ingredients, there's no obvious ingredients that would kind of clog pores, so if you're prone to problematic skin or sensitive skin, I don't see any obvious ingredients in here that would cause issues or kind of cause breakouts, but if you know what your ingredients are, or you know what your kind of bad list is, make sure you check on the Nars website. Is the whole transfer resistant claim. In my opinion, this foundation it's not the most long-lasting foundation. It has lasted a good 9 hours for me today, but I have to say, I know that if I was to wipe my face like that and press down on a piece of paper, it's gonna come off. Yesterday when I was at home, I had my toddler grabbing my face, rubbing my face, kissing my face, and a lot of my foundation, you can see from the video, the first day did come off. And it almost looked like I wasn't wearing any foundation, and yeah. So today I've had none of that. I've had no one touching my face. I've kind of leaned on my face and stuff like that, but apart from that, and today it looks a lot more flawless. So in terms of recommending it to you guys, if you are after a full coverage foundation and you have, I would say, normal combination skin, maybe even oilier skin types, because I think if you have oily skin, you use your primers, you set with powders, you kind of know how to control your oil, and you don't really rely on your foundation to do kind of the bulk work for that. I think if you have dry skin and it's uncomfortable and it's dehydrated, like mine, I would say that if you're looking for a full coverage foundation, then this is definitely a good choice. But for me, with my skin type, I would say that I'm still very much staying closer to foundations like Sheer Glow, Armani Luminous Silk, Becca Aqua Luminous. Those are kind of my kind of foundations. So when I do try these foundations, I am obviously risking it because I know my skin type. So whether this foundation works for you, I think is definitely going to depend on your skin type and what you want from your foundation. So yeah, I hope that review was helpful. I guess it's not really a yes or no definitive, but to be honest, I want to be fair to a foundation. And anyway guys, I'm going to go. I hope the review was helpful. I will do, like I said, I'll keep doing check-ins on my Instagram and other social medias, and I can even do like a 1 month update with this foundation. Whatever kind of helps you guys figure out whether you want to spend your money on this foundation, just let me know. I am kind of like blogging or at least doing longer posts on my Facebook, so I'm going to leave that below, and it would actually mean a lot if you went and followed me on there. And yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. I don't think I ever ask anyone to subscribe. But yeah, I'm gonna go, and I will see you guys in my next video. Please let me know if there's like other foundations you want me to review, or other products that you're thinking of spending your money on and you're just like not sure. I will go and spend mine so you don't have to. How unselfish am I? But yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.